John, occasionally, in addition to our regular conversations, we have a sort of an aside of asking questions put to you on the YouTube channel comments. They like to ask you about the question of pain, both physical and mental, and how it affects our relationship with God. You have some experience of both, I think.
Yes, I certainly do. A lot of pain, both physical and mental, emotional. Well, rather than plunge straight into how it affects my relationship with God, let me consider how it affects my relationship with the world, or how it did, well, and still does. Because pain often implies that we lose something. We either lose a person who dies, or a love that comes to an end, or some physical faculty. So we feel ourselves deprived. And that's not a bad thing, really, in terms of the world, because sooner or later we do lose the world, and those of us that are interested in spiritual work must take this on board. And very often we don't want to, until it's forced on us, often accompanied with much pain. Who hasn't wept over the death of some beloved person or creature? Physical pain, some of it just comes and goes and teaches us a lesson, doesn't it? Don't put your hand in the fire. Others are of a more long-lasting nature, when we injure our backs and never again regain former agility, which may be accompanied as both physical and the pain of feeling one's losing one's faculties, never be the same person again. Well, as they say, one door closes, another opens. And it is through such many such lessons that we may be moved, I don't say it's an immediate thing, but moved in the direction of that which does not fail. It takes a long time to realize that everything in this world ends in failure. And even in spite of that, some people insist on hanging on to whatever they can hang on to, but others feel moved to turn them more to God, turn them more to what faileth not. I think this happened quite early in my life, really, as probably not quite a boy, but certainly as a young man. I remember as a young man in despair over people and family relationships, and with my first experience of girlfriends, which often ended unhappily. in my experience, it was very easy to fall in love, not so easy to find anyone to love me. This was the problem. So to console myself, I often went up in the hills, turned to the woods, which is where I think I had my first experiences of what I now call God, in the space, in the silence, with nature, and began to find the consolation of what I now call spirit, or God, which in some measure at least compensated for the pain of what I was experiencing in life. So yes, I think in fact there's another, I was sent to boarding school at the age of 7. For 10 years I was sent to boarding school, and as a little boy of 7, this was really awful for me to be taken from my mother, my beloved home, and sent off to the savage savage all-male world of a boys' boarding school. And that's when I first discovered the great comfort of in the chapel, burying my head in my hands, and in my childish way trying to pray to God. Yes, I think that was a direct result of pain, of discomfort in this world. I think it's gone on really pretty much all my life. So now I can look back and say that all our, not only pain, but all forms of worldly trouble are really blessings in disguise. The old saying these things are sent to try us, don't they? I think they are. It's through elimination of our worldly hopes that we learn to put our eggs in the one basket that doesn't let us down, which is we call God. Yes, those of you who are suffering in various ways, maybe you'll look back as I do now and see all sufferings as blessings in disguise. They're lessons. They're lessons to, I won't say push, but pull, to call us towards that which is beyond suffering, where all tears are wiped dry and there's no more sorrow, and all is made whole, complete and perfect. That's the lesson of life. Pain is for a season. Even the huge, great pains that afflict whole nations, the cataclysms of history, they're all part of this great learning that we have strayed away from home, which is with God, into this world of deprivation of completeness, and so we learn to come back home again, where we belong, and all is made well. It really is so. Yes, the horrors, the pain, even death itself is not as real as it seems. And beyond our own pains, of course, there is the pain of others. And here we have the great instruction from Jesus, of bear one another's burdens. And so we learn to take on the pain of others, of nature, of history. And as we ourselves learn to overcome our own pain by turning to the completeness where there is no pain, so we gradually learn to take on more and more of the world's pain, and similarly bring it into this present, present it before this presence, which is always with us here and now, where all things are made whole. Just as I'm looking at the camera now, if I focus on my poor old arthritic feet, which mean I can't walk without sticks, and have long since lost the ability to stride over the hills like I used to do as a boy. You see, these things just melt out of the picture. It's as though they never were. I can't even feel them. My aging body is as... You see, you completely forget about it. It just is not there. Because one's taken up into this so much greater reality of spirit, which of course can't die, can it? It's so obvious when you see it. It's immortal and it's incorruptible. It cannot be damaged by the lower forces, which we call the works of darkness. It is quite simply above it. And in this way, the world is overcome. The world, with all its problems, all its pain, all its suffering, is just overcome, and we wake up, as it were, from a bad dream. And it never was as real as it seems. And we walk into a new reality. Where all these things are passed away.